Hey, thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and I appreciate you guys hopping on for your forecast today. What we are tracking today is a very rare tornado risk across the northeastern portion of the U.S. We're talking about our New England states here that do not often get a tornado risk or tornadoes at all across this region. So we'll be talking about exactly where and when we can expect those tornadoes today. We also have a hail risk across Montana and a good portion of the northern Rockies today. Could we see some larger hailstones? It's possible, but it's pretty unlikely, and we do have a fire risk today. So that Utah fire update for the Deer Creek fire that stems just between the Utah and Colorado state line. Over 14,000 acres have burned already and only 7% contained. It's a miracle and an absolute great thing that there are no injuries right now. So here's a look at what we saw over the past 24 hours. We did see some rain across the U.S. I mean, we saw more than rain. We saw several tornadoes across Wisconsin yesterday. You saw that tornado warning while we were live on air during our noon forecast yesterday. We got several tornadoes reported across the southern side of Wisconsin. Meanwhile, down in Illinois, it was a whole wind event. Yeah, the hail was just not very promising in this area. We told you that during the forecast yesterday. That's exactly what came into fruition, is it was more of a wind event. Now, one thing that we did expect, we expected some large hail across the southern portion of Wyoming all the way into Colorado, but we just did not see that. Storms really struggled yesterday. And what we did see was we saw that hail to the south of Denver. We expected it to be to the north. You know, sometimes even the meteorologists, they get it wrong. And what we saw here, what a lot of people are saying happened, is there's a lot of smoke coming from the western side of Colorado that traveled with this front into the central and eastern side of Colorado. So that thick blanket of smoke really stunted some of those storms. Yeah, that's possible. That's absolutely possible. We did see some large hail down in Colorado Springs yesterday, so I'm going to say technically the forecast verified. And then we got some really heavy rain across I-25 yesterday. Now taking a look at Kansas City, because we nailed the forecast for Kansas City yesterday. We told you it was going to be mainly a wind and a flooding event. And this morning they got some just impressive flooding across the area. 5 to 8 inches of rain. Holy moly. Across this area at times. It was record-breaking for today. They did do flood rescues, unfortunately, that had to be conducted through the early morning hours across Kansas City. Now moving into today, what we have is a very similar setup today that we saw yesterday, just in a different location. We've pivoted a little bit to the southeast, so instead of setting up across Wisconsin today, we're going down into southern Illinois. We've got a cold front, stationary front going on right now, and this slow moving system is going to be cause for another round of flooding today. So yes, we could see another chance for flooding today. We have a low pressure system just to the north of the Great Lakes right now, and that's going to help that tornado risk up in our New England states today, which we'll talk about a little bit more in just a few minutes. But if you draw a line all the way down this front right here, you're going to see some rain, and it's going to be pretty slow moving. We could see some strong winds this afternoon, but for the most part, it's going to be a flood risk today. Alrighty, let's move on. What do we see right now? We've got a few showers and storms trying to pop off across the northern portion of Maine, Vermont as well. Southern side of Florida, we've got a few showers out here. Really what we're watching for the southeast, the Gulf states today, is that system that just cannot seem to get it together. Do you ever have those days where you just cannot seem to get it together? That's the system. It's messy. It cannot organize itself. It just does not have all of those ingredients to turn into a tropical depression or a tropical storm. So we've seen those numbers go down, way down, for the likelihood of a tropical storm. We'll talk about that as well at the very end of the forecast. Pretty dry across the plains right now. However, we will see some storms up in Montana today. Cooler as well. It's a lot cooler out there. 65 out in Denver today. Gorgeous. 64 in Billings. 84 in Oklahoma City. Okay, we'll take it. We'll take any day that we're not in the 90s and triple digits. But I don't think that you're going to like the end of the forecast. I think that you are not going to enjoy those warmer temperatures that I'm going to show you at the very end of the forecast today. But I'm jumping ahead of myself. Let's get into the storms first. Here's your marginal risk that goes anywhere from Colorado all the way across Oklahoma into Kentucky, Virginia's, and then up to the New England states here. Mainly a wind risk today, but you could see a few tornadoes farther north that you go. And then you've got your hail risk across Montana and North Dakota. Now here's another marginal risk for Friday. We've got another one for Saturday as well. Let's get into that hail risk for today. It's really across Montana, so we're going to go up to the northern portion of Montana and to the central portion of the state. That's really where we're going to see the largest hail, just right in this region. So let's take a look at your hail risk for today. I would go ahead and say potentially ping pong ball size hail for that max forecasted hail size. You can see that highlighted here in orange. Where are we expecting that? Anywhere from Glasgow all the way to Glendive. I have that moderate risk the farther like north and central that you go into the state. So I would say the central portion of this larger hail risk will be your best chance for large hail. So we're talking about up to ping pong ball size hail here. I know that your range says up to golf ball size. I just don't think that we're going to see that today. No, I think it's going to be more like ping pong ball size hail in this area. Pueblo, yeah, you have a pretty good risk for some storms today. You've got a dry line warm front just kind of sitting down here in the central portion of Colorado all the way down to northern New Mexico. I don't think your hail sizes are going to be very large. I mean, we struggled yesterday. We like to say the trend is your friend, and we struggled yesterday to get large hail in here. I think that we're going to struggle today as well. So there you go. There's your hail forecast. Hey, we are all over the country today. So let us know where you're watching from. Are you watching from Maine? Or are you watching from Colorado? Where are you watching from today? We cover the entire country. If you tell us where you're watching from, hopefully we can tailor the forecast to your region. Greenville, Newport, Burlington, all of these cities often do not get talked about whenever it comes to weather. Maybe in the winter, whenever it's snowing, but we never talk about this for a tornado risk. But yes, we do have a tornado risk for today up in the far northern portion of our New England states. This is a very rare tornado risk. Burlington, Newport, Greenville, all in that level 1 risk. That level 2 risk for the far northern portion of Maine here. Very rare. What is going to be a more impactful hazard today is going to be that wind risk. You can see 65 to 75 mile per hour wind speeds for a good portion of these storms today. Now, that's really just a marginal risk for storms, maybe jumping up to significant at times. That'll be very isolated, however. What is really going to be the big risk today is going to be that flooding risk. I think that as we see these very slow moving storms scattered across most of the U.S., I think that flooding risk will go on and on and on, not just today, but also tomorrow and into the weekend. And we'll talk about that, but we do have a very significant flooding risk down into the southern portion of Louisiana, and that is because of that tropical disturbance that's sitting out there right now. Now, taking a look at your future radar, this afternoon, you're going to see a line of storms forming just to the west of I-25, very similar to what we saw yesterday, pop up, I would say about 2 to maybe 6 o'clock this evening. That will continue to track to the east as we head into the late evening hours. And again, the biggest risk in this area will be flooding, high wind, and a little bit of hail. Now moving to the north, so just a reminder here, excuse me. You guys, I'm getting my voice back. I think every day it sounds just a little bit better, but it is, it's struggling to fully come back today. I'm on like the cough drop diet right now where it's just all cough drops all the time. Alrighty, moving on. Let's talk about your hail risk up in Montana today. This will be the most significant area for hail today. You're going to see storms start pretty isolated up to the north. This will be a late evening event. 6 o'clock this afternoon, we've got a few storms on the radar. You'll see more widespread coverage as we head into the evening hours tonight and into early tomorrow morning. Again, the farther north that you go into places like Glasgow, that'll be where we have the more numerous storms. If you go a little bit farther south into Montana, storms are very, very isolated in that area. And for your tornado risk today, we do have a tornado risk for the northern portion of our New England states. This is a very small portion of the country. Really not a ton of people live in this area. Whenever I was doing the tornado forecast today, I was struggling to find big cities in this area. Still, a level 1 to level 2 tornado risk as we head into the evening, the afternoon, and the evening hours here. And there's your forecast. Scattered storms will also bring a flooding risk in this area as well. And I think flooding is next. Yeah, let's go right into your flooding risk today. I talked about that flooding risk that drapes just across the center of the U.S., and then we've got that flooding risk up to the north as well. But I really want to take you down to the south because that heavy rain is likely over the next 24 hours in southern Louisiana. And now flood watches and flood warnings are already in place in this area. You still need to be very weather aware, even though that this storm is not named. It's not a tropical disturbance. It's not a tropical storm. Those thresholds are based on wind speed. No, we do not have the organization. We don't have the wind speed to call this a tropical depression or a tropical storm. However, we do have that rain in this area that could cause significant impacts still. So significant flooding is still expected in the southern portion of Louisiana, not only today, but also tomorrow. You get a little bit of relief as we head into the weekend. Tomorrow, we also have another risk for storms right through the central portion of Iowa, northern portion of Iowa, even into portions of Chicago. That flooding risk continues as we head into the weekend. So here's your flood risk for Saturday and Sunday, mainly targeting the Midwest for this weekend. Just an update on your tropical disturbance here. Again, I told you it's a very, very messy setup right now. We thought if this disturbance could get back into the Gulf, it could have a little bit more organization, but that just didn't happen. It spent too much time on land, weakened enough that it really doesn't have a clear center of a low pressure system right now. We know it's a low pressure system. It doesn't have a clear center of rotation. The National Weather Service's or Storm Prediction Center, the National Hurricane Center, there you go. Which agency is this? The National Hurricane Center is giving this storm system a 30% chance to increase into a tropical cyclone. Nah, I don't think it's going to happen. I think what we're going to see is some flooding in this area. When we do get the next named storm, it won't be this storm, but whenever we do get the next named storm, it'll be Dexter. So that is the next on our list. Here's a look at your 5-day rain chances across the southern portion of Louisiana. We've got lots of rain this weekend across the Midwest and northern plains here, so keep an eye out on those flooding risks. And there you go. There's your risks for today, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. We don't have a risk quite yet, but I do think that we will get a marginal risk for Sunday. Here's a look at your storms. There you go. Tomorrow and Saturday as well. Any questions before I move on to those temperatures? I don't think you're going to like this temperature forecast. We've got Daniel saying, Kearney, are we talking about Kearney, Nebraska? You guys are out of the risk today. Out of the risk in Kearney, Nebraska today. You could get some storms tomorrow. Hey, did you see that? You got some storms popping up late Friday and into early Saturday. Early Saturday out in Chicago as well. Just one more round, watching the radar here for tomorrow. These are where we're expecting storms tomorrow. Out on the East Coast and then again through the Midwest. We have a fire outlook in place today for ongoing fires in this area. I actually want you to look at some of the videos here. Take a look at some of the videos of the fire efforts that are continuing today. So this is from the National Interagency Fire Center. And what they're saying is that we still have 65 fires ongoing in Alaska, 7 in Oregon, 6 in Washington, 6 in California. We can just go on and on giving you these stats here. They're also saying that you can help with this. Winds are increasing and fuels are primed to burn. Today is a good day to be extra cautious. Whether you're camping, driving, or working outdoors, take every precaution to prevent new fires to start. A single spark can ignite a wildfire, and your actions can help stop that spark from happening. As always, they say thank you to the wildland firefighters and support personnel serving here in the United States and those assigned to large fire support in Canada as well. And what scenes there? Yeah, lots of firefighters heading out on planes to Alaska today. We also had a very, very impressive and scary earthquake yesterday in Alaska that prompted tsunami warnings and watches yesterday as well. I think that was a magnitude 7.3 earthquake yesterday. Very, very impressive there. Alrighty, moving on to the temperatures. I told you would not like this part of the forecast. Great news. We are cooling down today. That's the good news. We've got some cooler weather behind this cold front. That'll stick around through a portion of the weekend, but wait until we get into next week. 90s, triple digits are returning. This is your classic summertime heat that we dread every year, right? Look at this. Almost everyone through the central and western portion of the U.S. has a likelihood to be above average for this time of the year. So let me give you an example here. If your average is 92, you have a really good chance to be 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. It's going to be hot. You got some cooler temperatures across the west. Also some drier conditions. So what does this mean? Hot and dry conditions mean that we have that fire danger that will most likely continue out on the western portion of the U.S. We could also see that drought come back into the central portion of the U.S. Now, farther up to the north, we're going to stay pretty wet. You're going to stay with that very consecutive rounds and rounds of rain. And there's your forecast today. Thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox. We have a forecast every weekday right around your lunchtime hour, so noon, 12:15-ish. You guys message us your questions and tell us what you want us to focus on next time. Yesterday we focused on that flooding and the hail risk. The day before we talked about flooding and we talked about, I think we talked about storms on Monday. We talked about fires today. So we will talk about whatever weather stuff that you guys want us to mention. Let us know. And follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Give us a call if you're interested in a wind, hail, or tornado map. That's what we specialize in here at Hail Trace. You can give us a call at 855-334-4245 or email us at info@hailtrace.com. Head over to our website, hailtrace.com, for more information. All right, thanks for joining us on this Thursday afternoon. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we'll see you back here same time, same place tomorrow.